Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. So we got a scathing statement from Bernie Sanders coming out after Donald Trump's win over Kamala Harris. And let's just start off with that and read this. Senator Bernie Sanders today released the following statement. It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change. And they're right. Today, while the rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker are actually lower than they were 50 years ago. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents, and many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee healthcare to all as a human right, and we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We alone, among major countries, cannot even guarantee paid family and medical leave. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu government, all-out war against Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of en masse starvation and of thousands of children. While the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party will they learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Disastrous campaign, key terminology there, guys. Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious political discussions. Stay tuned. Guy, that is a scathing statement from Bernie Sanders, and that is by far the most scathing statement and criticism of the party that I've seen come from him directly, guys. I mean, again, he's been criticized by many on the left for not being scathing enough towards party elites. Hillary Clinton, for example, in 2016, when many of the structural safeguards in the party were kind of against him. That's why he lost in 2016. You saw the party coalesce around Joe Biden in 2020 after he really was the front runner and probably would have won if Pete Buttigieg did not drop out and endorsed Biden before Super Tuesday. Bernie probably would have ended up winning. So the party really screwed him over, and we didn't even see him rip the party as much as he is now. Complete and utter scathing statement here. Basically, again, I think the left needed a populist this election if they wanted to win. If it was Bernie in 2020 and you had a Bernie v. Trump rematch here, I think Bernie would have probably won. Let's be honest, guys. A lot of the appeal, Bernie's appeal, white working class voters, just working class voters in general, Bernie did very well in that group, and that's the group Trump activated, guys. Trump activated that group, and the truth is the Democratic Party is not getting votes from that group anymore. They're just not. And, he talked about a number of issues here, talking about basically the left or the Kamala Harris and the Democrats. They're not talking about they're not talking about wealth inequality. They're not talking about these issues. They're not talking about wages, really. It's very, it comes across as very tone deaf. The party needs to change. And because of their loss, I'm assuming there's going to be serious discussions about the direction of the party here. But again, very populist messaging here from Bernie. And it's interesting too, guys, the last part of his statement where he says, in the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have serious political discussions. I don't know what he's exactly referring to there. Is he talking about a new party? I don't know what he's talking about, but it's pretty interesting. But again, most of this statement is centered around economic populism here. He basically he's urging the Democrats to completely change their messaging on this. And the thing that's interesting too, guys, the reason why I bring up the new party thing, I'm not sure if we'll go that far, but the fact that he says, will they learn? And he says probably not. That's pretty telling. It's scathing criticism there. We talked about prescription drugs, for example, the price of drugs, and it's not really talked about. Like, even one of the better things, popular things the Biden administration did was capping insulin prices. They didn't even really talk about that much. And, and it seems that it's not there. It's just very tone deaf on the economic front. And again, I'm noticing it now. most of this messaging is focused on economics, on other issues. You see Trump appeal to the working class through rhetoric, and many people would argue that many of his economic policies aren't even beneficial for the working class. But it depends it depends on the population, of course. But the fact that the Democrats are losing these voters when it was a significant part of their base, guys, it's very telling. It's very telling, and it just goes to show the Democrats are kind of becoming the party of the coastal elites, the the college-educated class, and they're losing the working class voters, which they had for so long. And unless they get working class voters back on their side, it's going to be a wrap, guys. The Democrats are in big trouble. They need to adjust course quickly, and I think Bernie is sounding the alarm on that. But this is a disaster, guys. The Republicans are going to control the House, most likely, and it's going to be a clean sweep, barring some sort of miracle. So Trump unchecked, and it's going to be an interesting few months. We'll see what his cabinet appointments are like, but a scathing statement from Bernie here, and this is more than ever before. Like, I've never seen Bernie rip the Democratic leadership and establishment. Again, defending the status quo, too, which key language here, and basically calling for change in the Democratic leadership and the way they go about things. So, huge statement from Bernie Sanders. Like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll come out with a video within a couple of days. So, thank you guys. I'll see you later.